Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Liberty Libations. My name is Jake Green, joined as always by Alden, Hardee, Zane, Placie, and today our producer is on screen, Mr. Zach Varnell. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was hectic. Had a lot of family. We had like 11 people and 6 dogs in one 3-bedroom house. So it was a little bit stressful. What about you, Alden?
I had actually like the flip. I've been so busy since we moved from Washington to Tennessee, and my whole family and Haley's whole family are in the South. So we've been visiting everybody like every weekend. We've had weddings, we've had travel plans, and so Thanksgiving, nothing. we took it off. Like it was
Perfect.
The flip of yours.
Heck yeah. Zane, did you do anything fun? Did you see fam?
Yeah, went up to Ohio to see the extended family. So had to step into the portal so we could get somewhere that doesn't exist. But
I was gonna say, if you didn't mention it, I was gonna have to do the obligatory Ohio doesn't exist for Nick, just for Nick's sake. Zach, what'd you get up to for Thanksgiving?
Just the standard stuff. Went up, saw my mom and my brother, people like that. It's only in Chattanooga. It's like 2-hour drive. And then
you were right where I was.
Yeah, well, not quite in the Tennessee, but on the Georgia side, real close to you. Yeah,
that's
nice.
What we're looking for, like houses right now.
Well, in honor of Thanksgiving, I just have a short little funny clip to start off with. The caption says, "When there are libs at Thanksgiving dinner and someone asks why you're so quiet."
Not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble. I prefer not.
I love that.
I think every libertarian going home to a non-libertarian family can relate to that. Or just, I guess, just if you have differing opinions with your family in general.
I feel like it applies to like either side of the spectrum, honestly, too.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
It's funny that if we go home, if we see my side of the family, it's that side. And then if we go Haley's side is more the conservative side. But either way, it doesn't feel comfortable, you know.
Right. Howdy, Grumpy. Welcome to the
Grumpy?
show, buddy. We're going to get into the stuff you're in charge of at this exact moment. Y'all, if you find anything we talk about tonight interesting, if you have questions about the Libertarian Party of Georgia and what we're doing around the state to spread liberty and freedom, go to lpgeorgia.com. Our convention, our 2024 convention, tickets are on sale right now. You can get them for $75 up until a week from today. A week from today, they go up another $10. It's going to be down in Conyers, Georgia. We've got Spike Cohen, Shane Hazel, Sara Higdon, Adam Nutter, Edgar Mills, the Tower Gang Pod, and a 6-candidate debate between all of the Libertarian candidates for president. So, Zach, am I missing anything? Do we miss anything on that one?
Something we just announced is Range Day with Spike.
Boom! There it is. That was going to be my next one. Range
Is that a rocket
Day.
launcher?
It's a bazooka. On January 26th at the South River Gun Club, you can go have a range day with Spike Cohen, former vice presidential candidate or nominee for the Libertarian Party. $100 a person. I believe there are only 15 spots. Is that correct?
Yeah, only 10 now.
Only 10. All right. Ticket. I mean, we just announced this. Tickets are going quick.
so if you sign up, do you get to fire the bazooka?
I doubt it.
I was like, that's how many rockets there are.
Unless you bring your own. Zane,
Yeah.
Then maybe they'll.
It's BYOB.
Bomb or what's the B?
Bazooka.
Oh
Duh.
Yeah. The convention chair told me that they are looking for some wacky gun for Spike to shoot. So if anybody has anything like crazy off the wall they want to bring, we can do that.
Okay. That's
I've
good
got
to
that
know.
antique 22 that doesn't fit modern munition size that we tried to shoot it.
Yeah, no, don't bring that. That was useless.
It is borderline useless.
It's really cool though. It is an antique.
It's beautiful.
22. Yeah.
But
It's
I
a
gotta
beautiful
find
gun.
old like the gallery munition that's like really got like no grain in it
Yeah.
to fit or something.
the bullets had to be tiny to go in that thing, because we tried to put just long rifle 22 in there and it just
Not Magnum or
jammed the
anything.
whole thing up. It was
Yeah.
terrible. All right, y'all. Lots happened in the 2 weeks since we last.
Yeah, we can't
recorded.
take a week off.
I know. Taking a week off, we get really far behind. So I picked a few topics for us to cover today. We might get into some more areas, but these are the big ones. The first one is just really fun. It's just a fun one. So this is Elon Musk being interviewed at the Deal Book Summit by New York Times. Let's see. Let me get to the right section. Here we go. Here we go.
The hostage. It was given to me by the parents of one of the hostages. And I said I would wear it as long as there was a hostage still remaining. And I have.
What was that trip like? And obviously, you know that there's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger
I hope
today.
they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
Nervous laughter.
Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Okay,
That's how I feel.
we'll pause it there, because Sorkin really has no idea what to say after that, and he asks some not great questions, and Elon's still just stuck on the "go f yourself" bit of it. And what's funny is Bob Iger had just spoken and was likely still in the crowd, and so that's who he was saying, "Hey, Bob," because so many people, they are leaving Disney as far as viewership and subscribers and stuff, and Disney literally talked about how the things they're trying to promote is not what the majority of people want to see.
Yeah.
And so they're like asking for help and asking for all sorts of stuff. And
Disney's asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, he does some great stuff. He does some less than great stuff every now and then, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on?
we all do
this
great
view
and
here?
less than great.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're a billionaire, it's just magnified for all to see or whatever. But
Yeah.
what was he talking about at the very beginning when he was like, was it the jacket or something that he'll wear? Or?
No, it was the necklace he was wearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been under fire for some anti-Semitic tweet or response to a tweet or something that he already said was not meant to be anti-Semitic.
What did he say? He doesn't
all.
like bagels or something? Like, I mean, honestly, I
forget what the right tweet was, but it was something about what's happening over there right now. So, yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on? So the interesting thing about this is he's literally telling advertisers that he will not kowtow to their demands. And later in this section of the video, he talks about how, yeah, Twitter might die or those companies might die, and we'll be there to document the whole thing.
Yeah. I like someone that's like willing to like truly just be like, well, we're not gonna just to save a buck, like, you know, work with terrorists, whatever. Like, we're not gonna, you know, bend our principles or whatever. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, what's all of these big companies that I would imagine spend a lot of money advertising on Twitter and now may not. What percentage is that of the overall ad spending on Twitter? Because it's easy to point at like these handful of big companies and be like, oh, Twitter is dying. Elon Musk is an idiot and he's going to lose all his money. But if if you've got tens of thousands of other smaller companies who are also advertising on Twitter, maybe it's not as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is how much of this is just virtue signaling by the company saying, "Oh, we're so offended by Elon Musk, we're gonna pull all our advertising."
Yeah.
But then maybe they actually don't.
Yeah, I mean that he pointed that out very quickly after that outburst too. He was like, I believe in doing. I forget his exact words, but basically it was, I believe in doing good, not looking like you're doing good.
Yeah. I haven't heard him say that, but like I've been calling this particular thing out a lot in recent years here.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated with whatever the like cultural zeitgeist thing is of like that you have to like be seen as looking like you are doing good rather than really considering what has the greatest positive impact for more people, kind of a thing. And just in a broad brushstroke, I find that we're kind of emotionally sort of led and misguided a lot of the times in what that can look like.
Oh yeah.
And he's the type of person to, I think, truly think about like what actually will do good. One of the examples that I was talking to someone recently that kind of makes me think of this is like hunters that go to Africa and hunt elephants or something, like, rich doctors that, go on safari hunts, and they basically pay to keep that available for them to do.
Yes.
And people don't like the concept of like keeping the hunters able to hunt elephants, but when there's money involved and people pay to hunt the elephants, they actually do a better job, and they're like, the numbers are in, like they do a better job of preserving the elephants. And when that goes away, they stop protecting them, and poachers go in and do it any goddamn way.
Yep.
And so it feels kind of weird to be like, oh, we're like preserving the elephants so that rich people can hunt them. But it's like, but in the end, it saves more elephants. And so like, do we just oppose it because it feels weird, or do we look at the numbers and go, over the years, like this has been working? And that's like an example of something that like I think feels ick to a lot of people. But I feel like if you're truly here for what helps, at least on the right now, that's doing a better job than not doing that. So
Oh yeah.
It's the market at work. But what I really respect about Elon Musk, for all of his foibles, is that when you are that rich, imagine how easy it would be for him to just like have all of the approved opinions, don't make any waves, and then you can not only be rich, but you can also be like in the club of the power elite and have everybody love and respect you like they do all of the other, power elite that spout all of the progressive lines.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. You can go F yourself. I don't care.
yeah.
And so I appreciate that he is actually using his position of having that much money to accomplish something that is a net positive, instead of doing what would be a lot easier for him personally and not standing up.
100%.
You could flip this too and ask how many people, companies, whatever, that aren't as rich and can't afford the risk as easily of like something tanking. How much are they, I would even argue unconsciously, motivated to like bend to, again, the cultural zeitgeist kind of a thing, to not ruffle feathers, to not upset people, to go with what seems good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when you see Elon Musk, he's like, oh, well, he's rich, he can do it or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, and highlighting how often does this happen when people aren't rich?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, there were tons of stories of that during the lockdowns, of like restaurants staying open or stores staying open despite cops coming and like boarding up their place. They'd come back in and rip the boards down and remain open, but they'd, end up going to jail or having heavy fines.
Yeah. And how many people are not willing to take that on? And yeah.
And the fact that somebody with that big of a profile and with that much power is doing it emboldens everybody else, where it's like, no, you little peon, here's an example of somebody not having all the approved opinions.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fair too. It can sort of challenge and lead its own sort of cultural counterpoint maybe, but
yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk any more about Disney, but you saying about how like the Disney Plus subscriptions are going down, and they have like one of their chief officers in charge of like content openly talking about how they want to inject like gender non-binary and LGBT characters into pretty much every movie and TV show that they make. I don't remember the exact clip, but something to the extent of that. It was there was an episode of South Park that was specifically making fun of this person. I think her name is like Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay.
But it's
I
like
haven't seen
she's a high up officer of Disney, and she's openly talked about how they're gonna wokeify most of Disney's programming.
Yeah.
And the fact that people, obviously there are a million different reasons why somebody might cancel their Disney Plus subscription or not go to see the latest movie. And I'm not going to say that backlash against the woke stuff is all of it, but to see that sort of consequence when Disney has staked a large part of their reputation on changing their programming in this way, I think is an encouraging sign, where you can't spit in the face of your own customers and then expect that they'll keep consuming your product.
Yep, 100%. And Elizabeth's exactly right. It gives people courage. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And like, there are plenty of companies out there that can, like, that thrive off of catering to smaller communities and communities that aren't the majority, but like trying to make it seem like it's an egregious offense to not watch Disney stuff because they're promoting things that you don't necessarily like agree with is idiotic. And you know, the fact they have so much power in the media world makes it very interesting and a little authoritarian.
Yeah. Ultimately, people are going to watch what they want to and not what they don't, you know. And again, with like the market, you know, like of choices and free will and where someone's willing to put their money and not. And yeah.
And like I've gone to this comparison a million times on multiple shows that I've been on, but Ted Lasso, first season, it had plenty of messages in there that weren't necessarily things that everybody agreed with or that everybody thought, but it didn't bash you over the head with them. It put them in subtly. It did it in a really good way and had a mix of great things. And then
I thought it was tasteful and seamless, and it didn't detract from the story.
Yeah.
And the character arcs made sense. And then second season, I don't want to step on your toes too much, but it started to
use the culture war as a bat to bash you across the head with.
And it imploded character arcs that made sense in the first season, and then people were doing things that didn't make any sense. It was all over the place. I haven't even finished the second season because the writing was so bad. It was like, I'm done. I haven't. It's just, I think I got, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes in or something, and I was like, this is just. It was like, truly, it felt like a writer's strike went on, and they had to bring on, all the interns started writing this season.
That's what I assumed. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to power through this season and watch 2 episodes of season 3 and see what happens. Dude,
didn't get better.
Wasn't worth it.
Season 1, it's so sad too, because, you know, season 1, I don't want to get too far off the rails with, or into the weeds with this or whatever, but it's like a masterpiece. I mean, I really think that it's a perfect season of I don't care what genre.
I still go back and rewatch the first season.
I will too. It's so good. It really is brilliant. It has all the feels, and I thought it was, you know, if there's any messaging into it, it's sewn in an artful way. And I'm emphasizing the word art, where a message through art is symbolic, and it, you know, it takes on metaphor, and it often is through the lens of somebody else's experience through writing, and lets someone sort of like assimilate this into their lives if they want to or not, kind of thing. And like, that's writing. Then there's messaging. That's a whole different, you know, that's where writing actually takes a back seat to the messaging. This is like in my channel that I'm going to work on you with later for like decoding movies and stuff. I'm going to talk about this a lot more.
All right.
But it's the first season, heartfelt and artful. Second season, the messaging, instead of being interlaced at all in an artful way, took you know, front seat.
Like first season, it's them leading you by hand down a great pathway. And the second season, you're going down the same pathway, but they hurl you into a brick wall.
Yeah.
Repeatedly just smash you into the brick wall.
It's the biggest bait and switch.
You know what other work of media throws you into a brick wall?
What's that? What's that saying?
Divide and dominate. How the powerful steal more power.
Oh, goodness gracious. In what way, Zane? In what way?
Only in a good way. But I was listening to an episode of the Dangerous History podcast, if any of you are familiar with that, and he was making the point that the reason why he thinks Disney and some of these other big companies are making woke remakes of like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and all of these beloved franchises, instead of making their own new media that's just has the woke messaging in that, is that it's a display of dominance that the power elite at the media companies have over middle America and the consumers of the traditional media, that they're like, no, you can't have your own saying. We're going to take what you like and make it in our image, and screw you, we hate you.
There we go. Yep. And Elizabeth just posted an SEC report from Disney.
Yeah, I was reading that.
We face risks relating to misalignment with public and consumer tastes and preferences for entertainment, travel, and consumer products. Consumer perceptions of our position on matters of public interest, including our efforts to achieve certain of our environmental and social goals, often differ widely and present risks to our reputation and brands.
People don't like our stuff. Like, yeah.
So they even know it's happening, but they still continue down the road.
That is quite the statement.
That is quite the statement. So,
misalignment is a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
And then there's Elon Musk, who's just like, okay, so Twitter will die. You know, let's see. And he says, like, we'll just put it. He's like, we'll just put it to the courts. Like, leave it up to the courts. And he's like, the courts? He's like, yeah, the general public. The court
The court of public opinion. Exactly.
That will decide.
And some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
It's like corporate Darwinism. It's like, if it dies, it wasn't fit enough. You know, it was sickly. If it survives, we'll shed off the parts, you know, we'll have gotten through it, and maybe it'll be better for it. It'll be a healthier business for it. Like, that's the way that I kind of see it sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about, like, this reminds me of like the 2008 like bank bailout kind of shit, you know, that was happening, where it's like the too big to fail whole thing that was being thrown out. And that was when young me started to realize that Obama was not what he hoped and promised to, all of that. So, and then he was just the same as all of them, but.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I didn't get smart quite as quickly. I also didn't really give a crap about politics back then. Like, it wasn't until end of college, beginning of like regular life for me. Like, after we
regular life, college is surreal life.
That was not regular life. Let's be real.
That's totally fair.
I hate to admit it, but unfortunately, when I was 8 years old, I did not know very much monetary policy.
That's a very drastic admission for you to make.
Yeah,
I only stole more than most, though.
Probably. Yeah. My financial policy knowledge was piggy bank at that age. That's all I knew.
There you go. Okay. We'll go on to our second story unless somebody else has something to say about Elon Musk's. Also, go watch that whole thing. Musk talks about some great stuff during that interview. It's about an hour and a half long, so it's not short. The interviewer's fine. He doesn't do a terrible job, but he's not amazing. But yeah, Musk goes into a lot of things, and he goes into his favorite book, which is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and talks.
That's interesting. I was just talking about that a week ago. That's funny.
Yeah, no, he loves that book. He's talked about it multiple times and how it helped form his opinion on the world, because he was apparently pretty considering suicide for a while when he was younger, and that book brought him back. So that was interesting to know.
That is interesting.
That's a big tech guy book.
Yes.
I just noticed.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Grumpy reminded me. I was going to say this, and I forgot. What is everybody drinking tonight?
Oh, yeah. Old style lager, which is like Coors, but better.
It's literally called Old Style Lager?
It's called Old Style Lager, yeah. I think it's made in Chicago. I don't know. It's good. It
sounds like a beer.
Yeah, of what I call fridge beers. It's my favorite fridge beer.
Zane, what you got?
I've got Batwit Crazy Belgian style wheat beer. Steve would be really proud of me because New Realm product.
Why are the beers you drink always named with massively long names.
Because here's what I do. I go to Total Wine and just pick up a bunch of these individual beers that sound like they're good, and then I drink them.
I like that. I love that I don't remember them doing that before, where they just have a whole rack of individual beers and you can make your own 6-pack or own 12-pack or whatever.
So, pro tip if any of you shop at Total Wine, but they do have the individual beer can section. But what you can also go do is go to the 6-pack section, and you're allowed to just snip individual beers off of the 6-packs, and they don't yell at you.
I don't know if that's an official policy, though.
Just
Zane.
because they don't yell at you doesn't mean you shouldn't do that, Zane.
I'm pretty sure somebody told me that I was allowed to do that.
That somebody got fired the next day.
Yeah, I have heard of that before. I don't think Zane's making it up.
There
I
are
thought it was something
very-
like Yankees did. Like you had to be in, New England for that to be acceptable. But
There's such a
Brian
wide
says
price
he's
range.
inhaling awkward atmosphere. That's what he's drinking tonight, so that's fun. Zach, are you drinking anything?
I have some boxed white wine.
There we go. Oh my
Is
gosh.
it a green box?
It's blurred out. That's funny. Yeah. Boxed white wine. All right. Okay, y'all. Second story. We'll go to the second story. It's actually kind of a twofer, and then we'll go into trivia. Unless y'all want to do trivia now.
I don't do twofers.
You don't do twofers.
You only do one furs.
All right. Well, back in the homeland, Dublin, Ireland, been the center of some very interesting things happening recently. There was a bunch of riots in the past week that were kicked off when an immigrant decided to go and stab 3 children in the streets of Dublin. And then riots happened because for the past, 25 years or so, 30 years maybe, Ireland has been accepting a ton of immigrants, very much against the will of a lot of their people. And so
is there a misalignment with the public opinion and the product that Ireland government is pushing?
It seems to be that way. It seems very similar to things that we struggle with here in the States.
It feels like Disney's PR wording. Well,
there's a Disney in Ireland, right? They must be in shambles.
So the riots have finally calmed down. 34 people were arrested. A 5-year-old girl's in very serious condition. A woman in her 30s.
34 arrested actually doesn't seem like that much. Like that seems like a Friday night.
Yeah, that you're probably right. That probably
I don't know,
isn't a ton for Ireland. We're gonna watch this whole thing, but there was idiotic looting and people taking advantage of the situation. But there were proper people who were there trying to protest, and it turned into a riot. And many, many bad things happened. Stores were looted. Stores were destroyed.
I don't know much about Irish riots. This will be interesting. Did the CIA put bricks out for their riots too? I don't know how this works.
It's a good question. That's a good question.
That's interesting.
But one of the biggest things that came from it. Hang on, let me pull this one up now. Is Conor McGregor, who, if people don't know who Conor McGregor is, he was an MMA champion, one of the best to ever live. He tweeted out saying, "Innocent children ruthlessly stabbed by a mentally deranged non-national in Dublin, Ireland today. Our chief of police had to say this on the riot. Had this to say on the riots in the aftermath. Drew not good enough. There is grave danger among us in Ireland, and that should never be here. Among us in Ireland, that should never be here in the first place." And he goes on to talk about how, these people weren't assimilating to their culture, shouldn't have been there. He says it right there, shouldn't have been there to begin with. And now they're causing violence. And he's actually under investigation for violating a new law that we'll talk about in a second. But I don't know. Ireland's a tiny country. And the fact that I don't know what the numbers are, but they do let in quite a number of immigrants. And when you when you have a smaller country and the immigrants become a bigger percentage of that smaller country, more problems get created unless
faster.
Unless one of the big things with immigration is that those people need to assimilate to your culture. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on the riots in Dublin?
I'm going to refrain from talking about immigration itself because there are libertarians on both sides of the immigration debate, and I mean we can get into it if we want to, but I kind of feel like that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to comment on the hypocrisy of people who claim to be for democracy but are actually not for democracy at all. Like you'll see a lot of publications, a lot of politicians will claim that they want to uphold democracy, but then I mean, I haven't actually checked any of the opinion polling, but from what I've seen, it seems pretty obvious that a very large contingent of the Irish people do not want this many immigrants coming in. Again, setting aside whether or not you think they should be allowed in or not, many Irish people do not want them to come in. Mm-hmm. And when people say, we want democracy, what they really mean is we want to be in charge and we want you to keep electing us or else you're far right and shut up and we hate you.
Yes.
I mean, this goes all the way back to, surprise, surprise, Woodrow Wilson's concept of modern democracy, where, yes, it would technically be a democracy in which people would vote, but his idea being that there would be a certain class of people that would kind of already know what the people wanted before the people even knew what they wanted. And their job would be to shepherd the people into electing them and supporting the policies that the leaders already wanted anyway. So the next time you hear somebody say, I support democracy, know that they're probably lying.
Yeah.
I support Irish democracy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liar.
Look that up.
Here's the thing. Principled anarchists such as myself don't like democracy either, because all democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on once for lunch. But at least I'm honest about it. Everybody wants what they want. Nobody wants what somebody else wants, but they don't want.
Correct.
I feel like Irish democracy sounds like an Urban Dictionary sex position or something.
I'm looking it up, and I don't know.
Be careful.
Find it.
Be careful on Google Images there.
All right, here it is. Irish democracy: the silent, dogged resistance, withdrawal, and truculence of millions of ordinary people.
Oh, it's
basically, it says rather than by revolutionary vanguard or rioting mob. So it's just
it's like a flip on the Irish goodbye, like Irish democracy, Irish goodbye. Okay, yeah, it's a play on the same. Okay,
so just stop cooperating, basically.
Right,
man. That sounds like an anarchist theme right there.
I align with that more than I thought I would, actually.
Also, one more thing, y'all, before this is going right into the next topic, but we are very close to getting kicked off of YouTube.
I mean, I'm surprised we're still here.
I had a episode of Free Georgia Podcast on Monday with Tia Severino. That episode got pulled. I had to go through YouTube training to re-education to get our channel back in proper standing, and I had to answer a bunch of questions that I detested. It was terrible. And actually,
I was going to suggest you do it on stream. Oh, okay, great.
I recorded the whole thing. It'll be coming out.
I've been meaning to ask you in general if you should make like a separate channel for like Liberty Libations and for Free Georgia and different things, because like if one gets, then all of them get kind of.
I'm considering it, but man, we between like Libertarian Party of Georgia and Peaceful Sea, we have like 1,000 subscribers. So like losing that is difficult.
Yeah.
Brian says achievement unlocked, kicked off YouTube.
We still have the strike. We still have the strike from you interviewing Ted Metz.
I know, and that was almost a year ago.
And there's a re-education quiz out for it too, where we can get it knocked off.
Really? I've never taken it.
I was gonna wait and see if we wanted to do it on stream, but yeah,
okay.
I saw it out there.
We might do it on stream next time. Next.
Yeah.
Are the re-education questions specific to the offensive post that you put up, or are they?
Yeah.
Wait, so are the questions like, we affirm that there was no malpractice in the 2020 election. We support everybody being vaccinated.
Something like that, because the one with Tia was medical misinformation.
Oh God!
In which I had to basically
suck Pfizer's dick.
What was medical misinformation and what wasn't.
Oh my God!
And it was so painful clicking the correct answer every time.
You got to give Fauci a reach around.
Oh man, it was bad. It was only 7 questions too, which was infuriating. But man, yep. Grumpy says, send it to me. I'll answer the question.
I would love that.
Yeah, I started the one for Ted just to take a look at it, and it was all about elections. It's like, in this hypothetical Brazilian election, such and such contest such and such. Like, is that okay to talk about on YouTube?
Well, one of the funny
things,
why is it not okay?
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know because it sounded fine to me, number one. But then also, the whole thing was supposed to be about U.S. elections, and then they're bringing Brazil out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the things was it ended with a vaccine that's confirmed to be safe and effective by the WHO. It's just like, I just hate you so much.
This reminds me of what Zane brought up about, like, when I don't know what exactly you were watching, but you were talking about someone from NIST debating someone from, like Loose Change.
This was in the private chat.
Yeah. But the concept is similar of like, because Jake, what did you just say about like confirmed by the WHO to be safe or whatever? This is like, it's been said that it's proven or confirmed by NIST to have happened this way, and you're like, no, that's what we're challenging, is like that your authority on this matter is what is under question.
The point here is that regardless of whether the vaccine is safe and effective or not, the WHO is going to say that it is safe and effective.
Yeah.
So
they
if we were to say arguendo, and I don't even want to say it in fear of getting a YouTube strike.
That sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
We will not be able to stream for a week if we say something bad today. That has to do with medical misinformation.
Postulating
Peaceful C
arguendo that the WHO was wrong. The WHO would never saying I don't know how to phrase it that would not get
safely.
A flag.
Yeah, that's
I have been clear enough that the audience knows the point that I'm trying to.
Yes, I think that's fair. We can
100%,
leave it there. Yeah, exactly.
So that being said, go subscribe and watch this show on Rumble. We've got some viewers over there right now watching. We can't currently interact as far as posting your comments from over there, but I do have it pulled up while we're streaming so that I can read your comments on the air. So
look at you multitasking.
Go over to Rumble and do it there, because we're just,
our days are numbered.
Yes. Yeah.
Which
means my company's page is numbered too, which sucks.
It's all linked.
I can't explain the example that we were talking about in the chat, because that probably won't get us kicked off YouTube. But we were discussing the upcoming debate over whether or not 9/11 was an inside job.
That'll be when we lose it.
in which I'm taking the negative, which is that no, I do not think that it was an inside job. I think it was actually done by terrorists. However, I was watching a debate between the makers of Loose Change, which is a documentary made by people who are claiming that it is an inside job. They were debating some people from Popular Mechanics who were saying, no, it wasn't, you're an idiot. But what the Popular Mechanics guys kept doing was saying, well, we read the NIST report, so the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They did a big report over the collapse of the Twin Towers
years later,
and the
debaters
were like, we looked at the report, and all of the experts say that it collapsed because the plane crashed into it. And that's not a really good argument, because regardless, suppose for the sake of argument that it was an inside job, there is no way that the government would sponsor a report that claimed that it was an inside job.
The government,
regardless of whether it was or was not an inside job, the NIST report is going to say that it wasn't. So it's not to say that you can't. It's not to say that you can never trust official sources, or you can't cite them, or you can't read them, or gain something from them. But the argument can't be that it's right because that's what the report says.
Well, it has
to be that it's right because the report is a reflection of the laws of physics,
right,
and which hold true in all situations.
Which we don't need a report to say.
Correct.
And you can find that elsewhere. And if like the axiom for the argument on the one side is, hey, we think this is an inside job and the government is responsible, and like the EPA and NIST and different companies that were like handed things by the government to do in the wake of this, if you as the opposition to this are going to cite those things, you either don't understand how a debate works, or you are willingly just doing this to troll people. I mean, honestly, there's no, like, if in this specific instance, this is how you come at a debate like that, you are disregarding entirely how a debate works. It doesn't, like, that is what is we're questioning right now, is the authenticity of these agencies.
I'm so looking forward to our debate. This is going to be so much fun.
So anyhow, you can apply that same logic to reports that the WHO issues about the COVID vaccine. Where I will say, and I don't have my fingers crossed, that I believe that the COVID vaccine is, for most people, not a harmful thing to take.
There we go.
It doesn't it doesn't murder most people.
There we go. We'll leave it at that. We're gonna move on.
Hold on. Well, Zane, if you want to understand how the people think, you have to think of it religiously, not like factually, like you are. They're thinking like, well, NIST told us so. They're like the bishops of science. They're beyond corruption. So of course that's correct.
The cardinals of science.
I've heard the comparison of leftism and statism in general to religion before, but I would actually go a step farther and say that it's even more dogmatic and less tolerant of dissent than religion is. Like I've mentioned on the show many times before, I'm a Christian. I take that very seriously. Jake is too. I struggle with doubt a lot, which is something that you're allowed to do as a Christian. You know, God can handle it.
There's a whole film about it.
You know who can't handle any doubt or dissent? The state.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
that's fair.
Is the truth. The truth can always handle doubt and handle being questioned.
There we go.
Yeah.
Grumpy says Fauci is science and Biden is democracy. There we go.
Anyway, last thing too about Conor McGregor is I'm just shocked to see a news item that says Conor McGregor and stabbed children, and it wasn't him. Totally deranged. I mean, I would have thought if you told me this a year ago, it's like, oh, he stabbed somebody, if that's in the news.
I understand that. That makes sense. All right. Well, let's see why Conor McGregor is now under investigation.
What's this new law?
Dude, it's going to blow your mind. Here we go.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
All law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You see, throughout our constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe,
I can't do it. I got to get whiskey. I can't do it.
Cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe
now it's going to come back and have no idea what we're talking about.
To restrict those freedoms for the common good. When you think,
should we just start
talking
about
I would imagine that I would imagine that a lot of things that she says makes me feel very uncomfortable. So we should just stop her from saying anything that she's going to say. Yeah. This is the problem with any regulation on speech that goes beyond, direct calls to enact specific violent actions on other people. If I'm just saying something that somebody considers to be hateful, well, as you know, the New York Times and all the other publications are filled with people calling anybody to the right of Mitt Romney hateful. So you're essentially making it illegal to be conservative by claiming that to be conservative is to be hateful. And obviously, I wouldn't really describe myself as a conservative because I'm a libertarian. But culturally, I agree with them on a lot of things in terms of, you know, how should you live your life, not necessarily how should you be forced to live your life, but how you should live your life.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you can just say, well, all those opinions are hateful, well, you're making it impossible to have any opinion that doesn't agree with yours.
Correct.
You're opening it up to bias and how you define something, and that's something that can keep changing and keep changing and keep changing, and it's moving further and further away from like underlining true principles of freedom.
Yes.
And freedom of speech in general, and outside of the, you know, directly trying to like Manson someone into killing someone, you know, like in that way, like, okay, if you're trying to manipulate someone into like killing someone for you, like I think, or, you know, everyone does the whole like yells fire in a crowded theater thing or what have you, something that can cause immediate harm or whatever. And we already have, you know, laws for those things. And if you keep degrading that down to more and more fluid and like opinionated and biased bases, then pretty soon, you know, you can just get rid of whatever right you want. Like, I don't know. It scares me, honestly.
Yep.
The thing you have on the screen's crazy. Euro news about Ireland, and the first thing they talk about is Donald Trump Jr.
Okay, so I hate this article for many reasons, but the main reason is scroll down to where they've quoted that tweet.
Yeah, the far right.
Ireland's far right is on the rise. And then pictured is some people holding up a banner that says abortion is murder. The last time I checked, that's not a far right position.
Correct. It's just a right position. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The article is crap. But I got it because I like the imagery right there. The whole thing with restricting rights for the common good and to make it safe and comfortable for everybody, because that was one of the words that they used was discomfort. It brings people discomfort and makes them uneasy to live in a country where you can say whatever you want about people. And so this is the law that Conor McGregor is under investigation for inciting violence against immigrants. And so crazy things are going to be happening in Ireland if this law stays in effect. I don't know, man. Like,
Europe in general, man, right now, like with the laws and like the push to, like, if someone, who was it that was just under fire on YouTube or whatever? What's his name? The actor guy that has. Thank you. Yes, my God, I've seen his channel a bunch. I couldn't think of his name, but in Europe especially, it was like a much swifter, much harsher push to like not air his stuff on BBC and like take his stuff off of tech platforms and like, oh my God, pull his movies off of fucking streaming. And like, it's insane what was happening, whether it has to do with something, the content that he said, the thing that you disagree with, or like some movie from like 2005 or whatever. Like, it was insane. They were like, demonetize this whole human, like remove everything. He said this one thing this year today, go back through his entire catalog and just erase him from history. And it feels like Europe is able to do that in this day and age faster.
Where they went looking for it. Like some journalist called hundreds of people and asked about their experience with Russell Brand, and apparently got like 4 people who were like, oh yeah, I didn't like it. And that's what they ran with.
If you dig far enough with a celebrity, I mean, like, you're going to find something that someone doesn't like them
I mean,
or
there's like
whatever.
4 people on this call that would say something bad about you. So
About me personally, that's probably true.
All right, so here, let's see. It says currently the Irish police define a hate incident as any non-crime incident which is perceived by any person to, in whole or in part, be motivated by hostility or prejudice based on actual or perceived age, disability, race, color, all this stuff.
Even a person who is hired by the CIA, ex-CIA.
It's insane that it says perceived, and then it says literally any person.
Yeah, one. It only takes one.
It takes literally one person to get you suspected of a hate crime in Ireland now.
Yeah.
Something tells me that any person really doesn't mean any person. It means any person that's holding the approved opinions.
There we go.
The blue check.
But, But
Exactly.
the thing with everything that's going on in Europe is that there is starting to be a reaction to it. Like, I don't know if you saw in the Netherlands, Geert Wilders, who's like the right-wing party in the Netherlands, just won over there. And I mean, he's the problem with far leftism is that the reaction to it sometimes
is far rightism,
is actually far right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know that much about Geert, but like I've heard that he like wants to like ban the Quran or something, which I don't want.
No.
So it's like the policies can be so bad that they can incite a reaction that's also bad.
This is like the Dark Knight, the escalation thing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like
pendulum every time, man. Like the pendulum swings, it goes from one extreme to the other, and then you get a brief moment of it being okay when it's in the middle for a split second.
I would definitely
it's okay
check
for
that
a week
just because I don't trust the media at all. So like we'll get into it in a minute when we're talking about Javier Milei. But if you Googled him in the US, all of it was bad. It was like, oh, he likes Trump and he wants to ban this and that and the other. But I had known about him for years just from following him on Twitter and, keeping up with like, I think he might have been part of like Mises Institute or something like that in Argentina. And I was like, I know none of that's true. And if it is, that's not the biggest thing about him. There's plenty of other things. So I would still like,
we're going to get
I don't
into
trust
that,
the media at all to even like trust that he wants to ban the Quran.
Yeah.
Well,
I need to look.
I heard that from a reliable source, but maybe you're right.
Don't trust you, Zane.
To be clear, Javier Milei is the absolute right kind of reaction to have against leftism.
Correct.
Like he,
No, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Yeah, let's not get into Milei right now. Do you have anything else to say about the Ireland stuff, Zane?
No.
Perfect. Well, in that case, y'all know what time it is.
I've already been talking about it for enough.
Yes, you have. It's great. Here we go. Let's do this. All right. It is trivia time. Tonight's topics are this day in history, Scotland, and fossil fuel. I'm going to warn you right now, Scotland is going to be the hardest topic maybe we've ever had.
You're a little bit soft.
Yeah, it's a little hard to hear you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Oh, there he goes. Okay.
Is that better?
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
One of the dogs we're sitting for came in and bumped a bunch of stuff. So
I blame the dog.
Saboteur.
All right.
Do you think being Scottish, I'll have an edge here, or
I thought maybe you might have an edge, but I mean, really, probably not.
I'm drinking American whiskey, not Scottish whiskey, so I don't think I have the edge.
Yeah, see, I'm drinking Scotch, so if I was playing, I'd probably win. But I'm
no,
not
you
playing.
wouldn't.
We need to have someone else host 1 week so Jake can play.
I'll hop on during if y'all do trivia during the month of December when I'm not hosting this. I'll hop on for trivia one time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if y'all
actually
geared up.
My family's Scottish too, so what's about to happen is the 2 Scots are going to get slaughtered by Zane.
Wait a minute, is Zane English? Because I don't know if I can handle it.
No, I'm mostly French and German.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
He's Georgian. Okay.
Slightly better. Okay. Zane has 12. Alden has 5. Nick has 4. Steve has 3. The guest has 2, and the audience has 1. These numbers will reset in the new year. That's how we're doing it.
Wait, really?
Now on. Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it won't look as
Hashtag
bad.
stop the steal.
Yeah, we can't do an all-time thing would be insane. There has to be seasons of it.
We have to keep Zane from triple digits, okay?
Season 1 of this show ends the second episode into the new year because we're gonna end season number 1 of this show the day I get back to hosting this.
And season 2 will be on Rumble.
Season 2 will be on Rumble.
Season 2, now it's different writers.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. On this day in 1835, legendary American author Samuel Clemens was born. Name one of his classic books. Zane.
The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Oh, man, he nailed it. I thought it was going to be a good trick question. Samuel Clemens is actually Mark Twain.
I didn't know
Tom
that.
Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Life on the Mississippi, Pudd'nhead Wilson, Personal Recollections of Joan of Arc, Following the Equator. Those were the 6 I would have accepted, plus many, many more.
I think he is credited with the first American comedy, technically. Do you know
Really?
about the story?
No.
It's like he was drunk at a bar and like wrote some story on a napkin basically about a frog hopping and then fleshed it out and published it or whatever. And like, but the sole purpose of it was just to amuse people. And apparently it's credited as the first American comedy. Or so I'm told. But
the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County.
oh my God, he knows about it. That's amazing that he knows about this. Yeah. Well, Zane deserves to win this one. That's good.
One other Mark Twain recommendation. It's a short story called "The War Prayer," but it is a very fine work of anti-war literature.
Okay. I never
I
heard
like
of it,
that.
so I like it. All right. On this day in 1989, the first killing by the first U.S. female serial killer occurred in Florida. What was the name of the killer? Alden.
Eileen Warnos.
You are correct.
Yes.
That helps.
Or Monster.
Living,
yeah.
Helps from living.
I was
in,
trying to think of some like cool name, like BTK or
Isn't that weird? How like most serial killers that are
Acronyms.
men get all 3 names, and she didn't.
Even Jack the Ripper.
Good one. That was probably the original.
Yeah, the first one. He established the norm,
All right. On this day in 1993, the Brady Bill was signed into law. What did it entail? Zach.
banning guns.
Incorrect. Zane.
I guess I'll be more specific and say banning assault weapons.
Incorrect. Alden, it's to you, buddy.
I mean, I have no idea, so I'm just going to spin off of this and be even more technical, and I'm going to go one level deeper and say machine guns, fully automatic, because I don't know what this is at all. I thought it had to do with the Brady Bunch.
All right. It does not. Y'all are all wrong. I'm going to give you one hint.
What year?
It has to do with handguns. 1993, the Brady Bill.
Okay.
Zach.
Banned handguns.
They've been banned for
Zane.
30 years.
Banning Saturday night specials.
Incorrect, Alden. If you don't get this, this goes to the audience.
A handgun. Oh my goodness. Does it have to do with, I don't even know, concealability? I have no idea about this.
Nope. Technically speaking, it's federal background checks.
Is this
with
the 3
a
day?
5-day hold.
Oh, I thought it was 3.
5-day hold on handgun purchases.
Oh.
So audience gets that one. Good job, Brian. Good job, Grumpy. All right. Yeah. 5-day hold while a background check is run on a handgun buyer. Idiotic. It was the guy who got shot instead of, was it Reagan? Right? It was
Reagan was shot.
Assassination attempt on
Yeah.
Reagan, and the guy standing next to him got shot too.
Yeah, they both. Reagan got shot too.
Well, it was Brady. The guy standing next to him was Brady. Whatever.
Oh,
his name
okay.
was. All right, question number 4. On this day in 1954, what unusual object struck a woman in the hip after coming through her roof? Alden.
Meteorite.
It is a meteorite. Bravo.
I think
All
it was
right.
the first, right? Like
It was the first one that's kind
recorded or
been recorded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you have accepted meteor? Because that's what I was going to say.
I think a meteor would have obliterated half of the United States, if not most of the world.
The difference between meteor and meteorite is that a meteorite strikes the surface. A meteor
Brian
keeps going.
challenged you, Zane. Guns are an area where he might know more than Zane, according to Brian.
for a libertarian, I really don't know that much about guns.
Okay, so it's self-admitted. Brian.
How much do you know about
better than
bazookas?
Not a lot.
All right. On this day in 1966, which country gained its independence from Britain? Zach.
South Africa.
Incorrect. Zane.
Kenya.
No. I'll give you a hint after Alden guesses.
You
have 5 seconds.
Is it a? Can I ask a question?
No.
I'll ask a question. Is it Barbados? How's that? That's my question.
It is.
It is Barbados. Okay, yeah. I was gonna try to narrow it down.
Good one.
Good guess. All right. Question number 6. On this day in 1999, which mega corporation was formed with the merger of 2 large energy businesses? Zach.
I have no idea.
Alden.
ExxonMobil.
ExxonMobil is correct. All right. Next question. Question number 7. On this day in 1996, which monument was returned to Scotland after 700 years of being held by England as war plunder? Zane.
The Blarney Stone.
Incorrect.
I was gonna say something similar. It's like,
Oh wait, Blarney Stone is Irish. That was a dumb thing to say.
it's a stone of some. It's like a gray stone or something like that. Some large hunk of stone. So it's not that dissimilar from that. Like, it's something weird like that. I don't know. It's like something gray stone or something. Or something. I don't know. I'm gonna just add or something to the end of that.
Zach.
Excalibur.
Incorrect. All right, Alden, you were incorrect as well. The hint is it is also known as the Stone of Destiny.
So it is a stone.
It is a stone.
Oh man.
Tenacious D, the Stone of Destiny.
There's one more hint if no one gets it. Zane.
Is it like the Albion Stone?
Incorrect. Zach, Alden, y'all got a guess, or do y'all want another hint? And it opens back up to the whole floor.
Definitely want the other hint.
I'll take the hint too, yeah.
It's the Stone of blank, and that the word is also a word for a delicious breakfast treat. Alden.
Philosopher's Stone.
You eat a philosopher? The Stone of Quiche.
Incorrect. Zane.
The Stone of Scone.
It is the Stone of Scone.
It is. Nice.
I honestly thought you were kidding.
No, that's right.
Oh, Mitch got it right after you, Zane. Mitch, good guess, man. That was great.
That's so frustrating.
With the delay, he probably got it first.
He probably did. But you know,
Are you sure it's not quiche?
I'm pretty sure it's not quiche. We could look it up though. All right, question number 8. On
In the U.S., that would be the Boulder of Biscuit.
Goodness gracious. On this day in 1982, garnering a record-setting 8 Grammy Awards, what album was released? Alden.
Thriller.
Thriller is correct.
Have it on vinyl.
So glad somebody got that.
It's so good.
All right. Next question. On this day in 1939, the Soviet Union invaded what country that refused them a naval base? Zane.
Poland.
Incorrect. Zach.
Finland.
Finland is correct.
Nice.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Final question of round one. On this day in 1872, the first international soccer match was held between which two countries? Zane.
England and Scotland.
England and Scotland is
Yeah.
correct.
Wait. Bonus. Do you know the score?
No.
0-0.
Yeah. It was a draw. The first one was a draw.
Riveting. All right. After one round, Alden has 5, Zane has 3, Zach and the audience are tied at 1, and Steven has 0. We're going to count Steven because
Steven,
he's supposed
we're
to
counting
be here, but he's not here. So,
but his washing machine is on the fritz or something. So.
Mitch said he said Stone of Scone like 2 minutes beforehand.
Give it to him. We were dancing around it for forever.
Sorry, Mitch. There's a big delay with people commenting. So.
That's right.
It is what it is. All right. Round 2, Land of Scots. The only reason I picked this because there were 2 questions with Scotland in the first round. So now there's 5 more. Question number 1. Who led the Scots to victory against the English at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314? Alden.
William Wallace.
Incorrect.
Dang
Zane.
it.
I was also going to say William Wallace.
Mel Gibson.
I feel like there's only 2 Scottish leaders that people have heard of, or Scottish generals, or whatever you want to call them, kings, whatever they are.
I can't think of the other one.
Zach.
Stuart.
Stuart Large.
Incorrect. It's I don't know what. Oh, Grumpy almost got it. It's Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that's what it was.
How could I forget?
I knew it.
I'm trying to think of a good. So it's 2 first names. It's blank the blank, and it's 2 first names. Zane.
Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce is
correct.
Nice. Good one.
It's not
Zane.
Ricky the Bobby? Dang it.
All right. Question number 2. Reigning from 1542 to 1567, who was the first female ruler of Scotland? Zane.
Mary Queen of Scots.
Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, nice.
Correct.
All right, Zach, you were right. He's kicking our ass.
Question number 3. Which Scottish explorer is known for his voyages to the Pacific Ocean and discovery of Hawaii? Zane.
Cook.
You are correct. Captain James Cook. Y'all, Zane is really launching himself ahead of everything right now.
I know.
Question number 4. What event led to the formation of the Church of Scotland in 1560? Zach.
The Great Schism.
No. Brian had said Captain James T. Kirk.
James T. Kirk.
Alden, go.
I think that gets a point for hilarity. What was even the question? I'm so sorry.
What event led to the formation of the Church of Scotland in 1560?
Oh, that's easy. Ragnarok.
Incorrect. Zane.
This might be way too detailed, but is it like Knox like publishing the Scots Confession or something like that?
No, but that's a good guess. That's a good guess. So this event happened almost everywhere in Europe. Throughout a specific part in time. Alden.
The Black Plague.
Incorrect. Zane.
Is it really just the Reformation?
It is the Scottish Reformation.
Oh, okay.
All right, just so you are aware, my first answer would have essentially been this, just a different way of phrasing it. But
what was your first answer?
John Knox publishing the Scots Confession.
Yeah.
Is that part of this? I don't know.
That's a specific thing that happened during it. That wasn't the broader term for it.
Well, you did say what
investment.
Yeah.
We were looking for sex, and you were going to say foreplay, so it's like it's not quite the same.
Fair. Okay. I get your point, Zane. I get your point. Responsible for significant improvements in the steam engine, which Scottish engineer and inventor is regarded as a key figure in the Industrial Revolution? Zane.
Watt.
How do you know these things?
How do you know all this? Good Lord.
James Watt.
Is that where we get the word Watt?
Yeah, because I actually paid attention in science class.
Oh my gosh!
I guarantee they didn't even try to teach me this stuff.
I paid attention, but I don't have. Do you have like photographic memory or something?
I've never heard the name James Watt before in my life.
Oh, well, you're just uneducated.
Thank you, Zane. Thank you for that.
I think YouTube is right. You need to be re-educated.
You don't need to be re-educated. You just need to be educated the first time.
Outright, just the first level. Oh, man.
Oh, love it. Roasting the host. That's great.
Big delicious oil.
After 2 rounds, Zane has 13. Alden has 5. Zach and the audience have 1 apiece.
Can anyone come back? No.
You can.
Oh wait, no, it's worth
3.
Okay, yeah.
So you can win by 1.
Oh my god, I gotta win out.
Yep, you gotta win out. Big delicious oil. Question number 1. Question number 1 is also a 3-parter, so you can get partial points by naming. There are 3 answers to this one. Okay. In what year, country, and region was the first oil well in the world drilled? Zane.
I'll say 1890 in the U.S. in Pennsylvania.
I mean, it's he got two of the points. You got Pennsylvania and the USA. We're actually going to do for the date. We're going to do closest to it now.
Okay.
Okay. So Zane said 1890. Alden.
1860.
Okay, Zach.
In freaking 80, I don't know.
Alden got the 3rd point.
I get a point
in Titusville, PA.
That's
the
Titusville.
USA. Titusville. All right. But yeah, now Alden, it's impossible for you to win.
Yeah, thanks. By like 1 point, right? Like
no, now you'd be losing by 3 points. What is the process called by which crude oil is separated into various components based on their boiling points? Zane.
Refining.
No, I'm not going to accept that.
Oh, I thought that was right.
Alden, Zach. That's a very general term, and it applies to the entire process.
Right.
It doesn't apply to this
Crude specifically, right? Okay.
It was the based on their boiling points and the crude oil.
Well, if you want to be like that, I'm pretty sure I know, but
you can't guess.
I can't answer right now.
Alden, Zach, do y'all have guesses?
I'm gonna be a gentleman and let Zach go. Yeah.
I just filibuster. Does Zane ever get to go again?
We'll conspire to filibuster together. Yeah.
Y'all have 10 seconds to answer the question
Oh my
before I
God.
open it back up to the floor.
I'm pretty sure Grumpy Gnome at this point legitimately thinks that I have low-level autism, like not even ironically.
All right, it's open back up to you, Zane. Go.
Is it distillation?
It is fractional distillation.
Oh my God.
That is unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay.
Now I see why you're going to reset the scores next year.
Yeah, it's absurd. All right, final question. What are the 3 countries thought to have the largest oil reserves in the world? Zach.
U.S., Canada, Saudi Arabia.
Zach got 2 of them. He got Canada and Saudi Arabia. Alden.
It's also Russia, I think.
Incorrect.
Oh, really?
Zane.
China.
No. Somebody get that 3rd one. It's open back to
Pennsylvania.
The floor. It's open back to the floor. Touch your cameras. Go. Ah.
I mean, what was the 2 that were
Zach.
correct?
It was
Venezuela.
Oh,
Zach got
nice.
all of them. Venezuela,
Nicely
Saudi
done.
Arabia, and Canada in that order as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it is not Iran, Grumpy. And these are just thought to have, so it's not a...
And I ran.
Thanks for playing, everybody.
So far away.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for playing. Really appreciate everybody tuning in for another Zane Placie
Another
domination.
murder. Yeah. Good God.
All right. Here's the guy. I mean, I think the rest of this episode is just going to be one big white pill for us because we're going to talk about Javier Milei. This is one of my favorite clips of him talking about his plans for the government now that he's elected. Ministry of Tourism, out.
Ministerio de Cultura,
Ministry
afuera.
of Culture, out.
Ministerio de Ambiente
Ministry
y
of
Desarrollo
Environment and
Sostenible,
Sustainable Development,
afuera.
out. Ministry of Women, Genders, and Diversity,
afuera.
out.
He already
Ministry
did
of
that
Public
one too.
Works, out.
Afuera. Aunque te resistas.
Afuera.
Ministerio de Ciencia y
Ministry of
Tecnología y
Science, Technology,
Innovación,
and Innovation,
afuera.
out.
Ministerio de Trabajo,
Ministry
Empresa y
of Labor,
Seguridad
Employment, and
afuera.
something, out.
Ministerio de Educación,
Ministry of Education,
adoctrinamiento, afuera.
Indoctrination,
Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
Thievery of politicians is over.
Oh my
Long live
God.
damn liberty is what he says at the end.
I love this man's like antics.
Gosh, he is so much fun. He's been so much fun to watch during his campaign. Yeah, I mean, Zach, you've been following him for probably the longest of anybody here. You want to talk about his campaign and like what it's been like for the past few months?
I mean, to me, it came out of kind of nowhere because when I first learned about him, I thought he was just some economics dude, like, you know, like anyone we may know, like Shane or Josh Smith or somebody, just someone who like happens to be kind of big in the libertarian world in Argentina and knows economics.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was someone who would actually put up a fight for political office someday, and especially president, and win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I didn't know him as well as I should have because I thought he was just some nerd who, you know, likes economics as much as Zane does. But
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think he was also in a rock band, I believe, back in the day.
He has that energy. That makes sense.
And he was in some other type of creative industry as well. So he wasn't always like an economist. I think he got there later in life. But I mean, it's been super interesting watching his appearances. I'm pretty sure we played one where he talked about leftists being shit. Did we play that? Did we play that on this one?
Yeah, we
Alden?
did.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But ever since, I mean, for the past month or so, he's been getting a ton of headlines, especially here in the States. Most of them are not kind to him and call him, like what we've already been saying, a far right Trump loving bigot kind of guy, which he is absolutely not. I mean, he does admire parts of Trump. He has said that publicly, but he shares basically none of the same policies as Trump did. As Trump.
They took one line probably, and
yes. So if you want to read a terrible article, you can go over to AP, The Lion, the Wig, and the Warrior. Who is Javier Milei, Argentina's president-elect? They really go into, they give a horrible take on anarcho-capitalism. And they basically just paint this guy as somebody who is an outsider, doesn't actually have isn't actually the voice of the majority, which he won by, I think he got 56% of the vote.
that's we've literally had under 50% for several of our presidents. So
Correct.
What are we talking about with that?
They also in their article that despite the wig nickname, his hair is real. So
that doesn't even make sense. Yeah.
You know it's good journalism. If
despite us putting it in the headline, that was a lie.
Right. But I mean, it is one of his nicknames. I will say that. Let's see. Where did it say that? I think near the top. Yeah, his fans call him the madman in the wig due to his ferocity and unruly mop of hair. He refers to himself as the lion. Yeah, I mean, everything about this guy is super intriguing as to how he got into power and was able to win an election in Argentina.
It's not the sideburns.
It's definitely the sideburns have something to do with it. And the very blue eyes right there.
He's got husky eyes, yeah.
He does have husky eyes. But I mean, if you don't know, if you're under a rock, Argentina's inflation has been steadily increasing. They've been going through some very big economic turmoil over the last few years.
So he's cutting some spending.
He is the response to the things that have been happening in Argentina. This
quiet again.
God damn it.
Yeah, I mean his
There we go. Is that better?
One of his main economic policies is that he wants to convert the Argentinian economy over to the US dollar. And obviously we complain here on this podcast a lot about how much the dollar stinks. But it's better to be
worse than
it's better to be on a currency that has 5 or 10% inflation every year than be on a currency that has 50 or 100% inflation every year, which is what they have.
$100 eggs.
Anybody who could in Argentina already was on a dollar standard. This just makes it legal.
Correct.
Or like all the friends that I have there, they would try to get paid in dollars as much as possible, even though the government of Argentina made that very hard for them. Like you can only withdraw so much from ATMs and banks, and you can only come into the country with so much of it, to the point where they had to like take ferries to Uruguay, use the ATM to get out a little more than the maximum, and then smuggle a little bit of it back along with the amount that they declared. And it's just, that was what they had to go through just not to lose their savings completely to the peso. And they would have parents that don't do all that and just work and put it in their Argentinian bank and could never retire ever.
Yeah.
Or their industry would collapse because people don't have the money to pay for it anymore.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the dollar will be better for them, even though, we have a lot to complain about it.
And it seems like the dollar is also a stopgap for, like, I think it seems the way he's been speaking about it, because he is very much in favor of Bitcoin. He's been talking about Bitcoin since before he started running for president.
That's interesting.
And it seems as though he wants to go the route of El Salvador, and eventually make Bitcoin the currency of the country.
Wow.
Which would be a very interesting development.
That'd be wild.
I forget what the exact quote of his is, but he has a quote that goes something along the lines of, there are 4 types of central banks: evil central banks, very evil central banks, extremely evil central banks, and the Central Bank of Argentina.
That's a great quote. I love that. There was another article which we started looking at for a second. This is in Quillette.
That photo, I'm glad you went back to this. He looks like Joaquin Phoenix playing him in this photo.
Oh my god.
Isn't that weird?
He really does. That's crazy.
Alden, he kind of looks like you in that photo.
Give me the wig, yeah.
So this article is on Quillette. It's written by Daniel Racebeck, who writes for Cato, which is definitely not my favorite libertarian publication. But
they have some good stuff.
And this article is actually pretty dang good because it goes into the history behind his victory, and it cites other countries and what happened in those countries. And so if you want to read about him, I'll just put this in the chat, and you can go read about him on this website, because this article is fantastic. It goes into a lot of depth about a lot of things, some of which I wanted to bring up. But Zane, what are your thoughts on him getting elected he's full on libertarian candidate?
Yeah, I think the official description of his campaign was that he was an anarcho-capitalist running on a minarchist platform, which is, exactly what I think the right strategy is. Because as much as I would love for it to be viable to run on an anarcho-capitalist platform, it's just not. And, I think it's good to be very ecumenical with other libertarians and not do too much navel gazing in terms of do we just want the government to be really small, or do we want there to be no government? Because but before we start arguing about how far back we need to roll back the state, we need to start rolling back the state. And we can all agree that we need to roll it back a lot. Then once we've already rolled it back a lot, then we can argue some more about, whether we should get rid of it entirely. And I mean, having theoretical debates is still something that I think is useful for fleshing out our own philosophy. Yeah. And obviously I just like having them. So I'm not saying that there's no room for minarchist versus anarchist debates, but there's certainly no room for any libertarian critiquing him for what he's doing.
Well, now we have like an active, like ongoing case study, which is interesting for how this will pan out. I'm really interested to see how this goes.
Yes.
As something to cite, you know.
I know there are tons of people who are very nervous about his well-being over the next few years.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Especially if he's able to do some of the things or gets close to doing some of the things that he's talking about doing.
Yeah.
Think
about the governments of the world that don't want a case study of very, very strict, limited government succeeding. Like that's
that yes, 100%. And just think about it this way too. Like the U.S. wants everybody in the world to be on the dollar, and so if he goes to the dollar, but his ultimate plan is to go to Bitcoin,
is to leapfrog to
what
Bitcoin
do you think,
later.
What do you think is going to happen to him if he starts making changes?
The same thing that
direction?
has happened to a lot of leaders in South America via the CIA, man. Like, yeah, nothing good probably. So I'm concerned as well for this. As long as this person is genuine, then I am concerned.
Yeah, I've heard some theories that this is why he's kind of went on a tour to the U.S. to kind of kowtow to the right people and has gone on some other foreign visits. And some people in the libertarian sphere have been very critical of that, which I guess from a purely principled perspective is okay. But it's kind of like you've got to play the game in order to avoid being assassinated. If you can kind of convince everybody, I don't want to start a global libertarian revolution, I'm just trying to fix Argentina, maybe it won't be worth it for anybody to try and, have them take a ride in a limousine through Dallas, if you know what I'm saying.
Without a roof, yeah.
Exactly. Well, so like you were saying, it'll be an interesting case study for how libertarianism works when it is leading a country, especially a country as large as Argentina.
Yeah, it's not small. Yeah.
And I think what we all need to keep in mind is that things do not happen overnight. You can't just go in and wreck everything all at once.
They honestly shouldn't, I think, arguably shouldn't happen overnight.
100%.
Yeah.
It has to be a slow turn of the tables. There are some things that you could absolutely eliminate right off the bat and nothing bad would happen.
Sure.
But the one that was mentioned in the video, like the Ministry of Women and Genders or whatever, that's already gone. Like he wrote a letter saying, like, pack up your crap and get out.
He mentioned a few that I was like, yeah, I don't think that'll matter.
All of the women in Argentina just gone.
Exactly.
That might have some consequences. Yeah.
No, but like I think it's important to be patient and understand that like things don't nothing substantial is going to happen overnight. And
I hope he survives long enough for this to show the flow, you know.
It also means we like show your whatever small way you can, like show your support for him, like tweet out his stuff, retweet him, post about him. If you're a writer, go write about him. Like,
are you sure we want to call attention to him?
Keeping him in the public eye in a good way, or at least putting it out there for more people to learn about what he's talking about as a president is a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I need to buy some of his merch now that I think about it. But I did have a coworker of mine a couple of days ago who knows that I'm a radical libertarian be like, so how close is this Milei guy to your brand of libertarianism? And I was like, very close. I love that guy.
Yeah. Somebody just asked, should the Newsom-DeSantis debate have a third podium for a libertarian?
Oh, every debate should have at least one.
I mean, every debate
podium.
Should. Do we even give a crap about that debate?
I guess if they offered me a spot, I could show up.
Zane would wipe the floor with Newsom, at least DeSantis. Newsom is pretty charismatic, but basically anybody could wipe the floor with DeSantis. That guy is the least charismatic person I've ever seen. I don't know. Like, this whole thing just seems like a staged thing so that Newsom is allowed to take the reins as soon as Joe Biden falls down his next set of stairs. Like, I don't. What is the purpose behind a Newsom DeSantis debate other than that? Like,
You
there
know,
isn't.
you know how they
seem-
have exhibition college football games? It's
Yeah.
an exhibition debate.
Yeah, between one person who will never be an elected official again and one person who probably will and will probably ruin something. And so,
Yeah, I mean, I would like
Whatever
to
you said.
see it, but it's such a just performance. I don't feel like it matters or any, like, our national conversation isn't going to be based off of what Newsom and DeSantis are saying in this debate that nobody's going to watch. So to me, it's like asking if a libertarian should be on The Real Housewives of Atlanta or something. It's like, sure, I guess, but
My default answer is just that there should be more than just the two sides being heard. But in this particular debate, it matters less than most, maybe. But
Joe says, I'm watching you guys instead of that debate. So shows how much I care about it. I don't know if that's an insult to us.
I don't know if
or
that's
a
flattering or
compliment.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
that's
Suha
hilarious.
says Zane should debate AOC. There's an IQ difference of multiple standard deviations.
Thank you, Suhas.
Oh, there we go. Zane.
Oh, it's
Or
Suhas.
Zach, he
Right
actually
on.
asked the question: should a libertarian be on The Real Housewives? That's the real question.
I
yes.
mean, represent. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
Fine.
I mean,
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
My answer is sure. I won't see it, but sure. You know.
Interesting. Do we think AOC is playing a game where she's unintelligent?
I mean, she's definitely playing a game to keep getting elected.
Yeah,
And
but
she's doing a decent job of that, I guess.
you don't have to be smart to be elected to Congress.
Well, that's true.
I don't think that she's dumb. I mean, I don't think that you can get an undergraduate degree in economics and be dumb.
Oh, I don't
think
necessarily
that
agree
she's
with that
very
statement.
smart.
I don't agree with you not being able to get an economics.
I would have made a
degree
different
and still be.
No,
point.
no,
Sounds
Jake,
like you went-
I don't think that. Maybe I wasn't clear, but in terms of just IQ points, there's a difference between that and like wisdom or common sense. Which
There's so many.
when libertarians
You hung
call
out with
people
smart
dumb,
people.
but we often are thinking of like that. But like in terms of just pure intelligence, I think that it does. You can't be dumb and get most college degrees from respected institutions. Even if the result of that is very bad teachings.
I just do not necessarily agree with that, Zane.
Yeah,
I know
I really
so
don't.
many
People with degrees.
ultra dumb people with degrees.
I really think that's not the strongest position to take on that. But I hear what Zane's saying in that I wouldn't say that she's dumb.
Agreed.
I think everyone has, different, like, there's different types of intelligence.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think she's socially smart and knows how to market herself really well.
Yes, I think so
She's
too.
very similar to Trump in that way.
She's crafty in that way. I think she's also highly, highly ambitious. And I think there's a lot of people with like 200 IQs that are just like, yeah, I'm fine to just play video games and eat and chips and have a minimum wage job. There is some seriously smart people with some like very, very just like, yeah, the rat race isn't my thing. I'm just going to chill and do what I want. And I've already figured out what I want to do in life.
Truckers. I mean, smartest people I've ever met, often truckers. They just have all the time in the world to think about things.
Audiobooks all the time. Like
Joe just said, ever notice when AOC and Thomas Massey vote the same, it's almost always in the minority and the libertarian way. I actually haven't paid attention to when they agree
about this.
So I'd have to actually check that out. That's interesting. I know they have agreed on things.
Yeah.
A good
I've
rule
seen
of
that.
thumb is that Thomas Massey is just the best representative in the House of Representatives. So anytime you vote the same way that he does, that's probably a good idea.
That's very true. Yeah. So here's some of the one of the articles that's coming out about Javier. Far right libertarian Javier Milei's election victory questions.
How does that even make sense?
The future of Argentine filmmaking.
It makes perfect sense if you consider that Argentine filmmaking is probably heavily subsidized by the government.
Exactly. That's 100% what it is. If you go read the article, that's basically what it is.
What is far right?
So I don't even need to read the article because it's dumb.
No, the article is dumb. But I wanted to make sure that I read all these things before I posted them on here this time. So
just start posting articles and insulting them without even reading them. That's what I do. I
feel like that's like 98% of Twitter. So yeah. But you're 100% correct. The film industry in Argentina is heavily subsidized, if not like owned. Like they're like production company owners who have government ties and all sorts of stuff. So like
they try to do that a lot with like they tried to develop their own cell phone company, like making hardware like Samsung.
Yeah.
And then they put tariffs on all sorts of other things, and still nobody wanted their phones, even if they are much cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
We have like in our country, we don't have the same thing like on paper, like economically speaking, but culturally, we were just talking about this with like the Disney thing, and there's so many politics tied to our film industry, but not necessarily in like an economic way. What was that? I didn't read that bit. That
No, it was aimed at Zane. I feel like someone has to be aggressively optimistic to be a Bulldogs fan.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, the past 2.5 years have been great.
Yeah,
2.5, yeah.
But the 50 years prior was not so great.
Well, luckily for me, college football started in 2017, so I don't care about anything before that.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. What were you saying, Alden? Sorry.
I don't even remember. Just that we have this weird kind of gray area in our Hollywood where we have the sort of cultural influence of politics without official government subsidizing or anything like that. But I feel like there's definitely some wires being crossed there.
100%. And like in our world, in the film world, they're like 60% at one time. I don't know if it's that today, but I think it was about 10 years ago. 60% of movie film sets had a government advisor on
like
them.
A liaison or something to government.
If you don't use one, you don't get to use all their equipment. You don't get to film on a aircraft carrier or shoot.
The military. And any movie, not only movies that depict intelligence agencies and the CIA, but at least any movie that even talks about it has to contact. The liaison to Hollywood is a CIA job position that gets paid a lot of money, and there are literally thousands of films and shows that have corresponded with the CIA, and there are many scripts that get like no, we don't like that, or no, we want you to push this particular message. And this happens all the fucking time here. Yes. And so it's not officially government.
They help in return for script approval.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, we'll give you whatever advisor and cool stuff you need for your movie, but we get final say about how we're portrayed.
We'll let you do all this cool, fun bazookas on aircraft carriers or whatever shooting that you want to do, but we get to manipulate the script. Exactly. We get final say.
No, exactly. There are many upsides to having movies be produced by such like large teams and be so like sected off. One of the downsides is that like if you have any involvement aside from maybe the director, you will have zero input, knowledge, or anything of what happens once it's in the editing room.
Yeah.
And so once it's in the editing room, there could be a third person in there who has nothing to do with the movie, but has to do with the government.
The new Red Dawn movie is a perfect example of this.
It's exactly that. Yes.
Thank you. One, all in post, 100% in post in the editing room, like you're saying, like at the end of filming.
Yep.
The company was bought out by another company. Okay. A Chinese company bought it, didn't like that the sort of the antagonist in the story was China. So they made them change it to, I think, North Korea and switched the entire script around just because they didn't like how it was making them. Anyway, all of this like sort of movie magic happened in post.
Oh yeah, no, they changed all of the emblems, all of the colors, all of it. That movie was delayed like 2 years because they were turning it into a anti-North Korea movie.
It should have never come out. They should have delayed it indefinitely.
Plus, it was horrendous anyway.
It was so bad.
It was. Don't have the guy with the thickest Australian accent alive try to play an American.
Yeah,
he can't do it. Chris Hemsworth, I'm sorry, he's
not a good actor,
but you are terrible in that movie because
he's just handsome. He's not a good actor.
I mean, he's utterly handsome.
Oh, he's so handsome, but he's a horrible actor.
While we're on the topic of military propaganda, and since now I'm thinking about college football again, I don't know if you guys have how much college football you've been watching this season.
All of it.
But I have been seeing so many ads for like trying to recruit people to join the army. Like they've always been there, but I'm seeing so many more this season.
Interesting.
Which, on one hand, I think is kind of a white pill because it means that so few people are joining up
The interview
that they have to start advertising this heavily in order to meet their recruitment quotas.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's blatant military propaganda, and I hate it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I tried to
specifically. What?
I tried to count the ads during one game, and I lost count by halftime because of how many freaking advertisements there were for different armed forces of the military.
You're perfect for the military, then.
Specifically, they've got this one series of ads now that are aimed at parents of kids that are saying they want to go into the military, and they're like trying to guilt the parents into like approving of their kids' decision to join the military.
Wow.
It is so insidious.
It really is.
Wow.
If people cannot identify this as propaganda, then I was about to say they should be paying more attention, but that's way too much to ask of people.
I don't think you need to identify it. I think, like, by definition, it is. I feel like that is what they're doing.
If you can identify it as propaganda, you'll be a lot less susceptible to it.
Well, see,
yeah, that's fair.
That's true. But the most annoying thing that I've found is that sometimes government propaganda can be a really good movie, like Top Gun Maverick. It was a fantastic movie, but it was
bad message,
pure propaganda.
Oh yeah. Bad message, great movie. You know,
but like people who aren't paying attention, like if I had seen that movie 15 years ago, I'd have been like, yes, America, like let's go bomb people, because that movie was all about Iran. Like they never said the word Iran, but it was all about Iran.
I thought that was where I actually think they did a pretty decent job of not being like, here's the enemy and it's this country, and like being as flat.
They literally described
where
it was geographically and how to get there without saying the word Iran.
I actually felt like the fact that they were being very vague about who the enemy is kind of made the story less believable. Because like I was watching it, and I'm not disputing that it was a good movie, but I was sitting there and listening to like the description of the mission, and it's like, we've got to go bomb this very dangerous installation. And I'm like... So are we just supposed to accept the fact that this isn't going to start World War III?
Right.
Like, do we just get to pretend that we're doing this in a sandbox and that nothing else is gonna happen because we're doing?
You're actually supposed to, yes.
And in the room where we're
when
talking
you watch
about
a movie
with the people that are executing this mission, the word of the target and the enemy and the territory never comes up. Like it is less, I would say, quote unquote, believable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it just would have been a better story had they been able to actually identify a better premise. But of course, you can't do that for a million reasons that would prevent the movie from having been made at all.
Is this true about China and what Joe's saying? I don't remember.
So, but I don't really remember. I'm not sure.
I thought the antagonist was gravity because that's what killed Goose. So,
I mean, in my eyes, that is 100% correct. Yeah. He says Iran is the antagonist. They put their country right between hundreds of U.S. military. 100%, Joe. 100%. And Brian, absolutely. Anything that has permission from the U.S. military to use their actual equipment is going to be propaganda.
If you see it in there, if it looks official,
and if you don't see it in the theaters, and they give you a 3-minute Air Force promotion before the movie, it's propaganda.
There's a music video for the military to start the movie. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I have 3 options. We're only going to do one more topic. One of the topics is tariff and economic manipulation here in the United States.
Wait a minute.
How it affects vehicles. One of them is Biden. This would be much shorter, but it's Biden not understanding what disinflation and deflation are.
Let's go with that one.
Disinflation.
Really
the third one is a guy named Jake Gutierrez called the Samurai of Soul, saying some interesting libertarian things that also seem to coincide with January 6th things.
The thing with the second story is that's the perfect balance of actual economics and also making fun of Joe Biden.
Perfect. Okay, let's make fun of Joe Biden for 5 minutes, then we'll go into the funny things. All right, so our very own Justin Amash tweeted out, "It's disturbing that the president of the United States thinks that disinflation is the same thing as deflation." Joe Biden had said, "Let me be clear to any corporation that hasn't brought their prices back down, even as inflation has come down. It's time to stop the price gouging. Give American consumers a break."
The nerve.
So this is what him and his entire White House organization have been tweeting out for like the past 3 months, that
this is
inflation is down, the economy is working, everything's doing well. I don't know.
Didn't he try to blame Russia at one point?
It's a blame game. That's what I was just going to say. This is a straight up blame game. Yeah.
Can I just say
it's 3 topics?
It's the market's fault. It's Russia's fault. It doesn't matter.
Joe said 3 topics and they all suck. It's like an election.
Can I just say how grateful I am for community notes?
Community notes are by far the best thing that's happened to Twitter since the takeover.
What's that?
It's where people can come in and cite sources saying why the person who tweeted is incorrect, and they can even do it to the White House.
A why they're an idiot section. Okay.
Yeah, and it's made by people on the platform. It's
by people for people.
It's fantastic.
Because the great thing about it is, as opposed to notes that you'll see on other platforms like YouTube, they're not. You would think that something like this would just always be spouting the approved opinion. But the thing about the Twitter community notes is that most of the ones that I've seen are actually like good. I don't know what the process is for getting them approved or who can write them.
Yeah.
But it's like there was this one on Biden's post that's pretty solid on inflation. There was the community note on Karine Jean-Pierre's tweet about inflation. That was also taking her to task about how prices really haven't come down that much.
Yeah. And just real quick, this one that Zane just referenced says, as long as the inflation rate is positive, prices are increasing. The fact that inflation has come down to 3.2% in October means that prices are still going up, albeit at a slower rate than before. Like, perfect summation of why that tweet was idiotic, especially made by the president.
Yeah, I mean, just getting into that tweet in particular, it's not like all these companies are sitting in a board meeting and are like, do we want to A, continue screwing over customers, or B, give a charitable donation to customers by lowering prices? That's obviously not what they do. They always try to set profit maximizing prices, which have to be higher if the government is printing up a bunch of money. Because what inflation is the government creating a bunch of money and then it gets to spend it on what it wants.
Yeah.
So it sucks out. It's ultimately it's about the government being able to suck out additional real resources. Like they're taking up more, products. They're taking up more human labor hours, and so there's less of all that stuff left for the rest of us, which means that the prices of all of it have to be higher because the government is taking too much of it. Well, it is taking even more of it than they were before. And so all the companies have to, eggs are more expensive because instead of having, however much steel and gasoline and chicken, all of that, instead of having whatever amount of that was available before the government started printing money, there's less of that.
Yes.
So now has to be higher prices.
Yes.
It's not just a decision of the companies to charge more or charge less.
No, I mean
that sounds hard to understand, and I don't get that when I could just think that greed is up right now.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a decision.
The best explanation of why corporate greed doesn't make any sense as an explanation for inflation is, are you telling me that corporations in 2019 and before just weren't greedy, And now all of
Greed
a
was
sudden they
down.
are greedy. They're
My
always
greed
charging the
portfolio
most
wasn't
that they
doing well.
can.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
again with like the market thing of like if you charge so much that someone won't pay for it, then you have to come down and blah 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 and whatever. That's not the parameter to look for. That's different now, you know. And we're not looking far enough down the line if that's like where you stop at that, you know. Oh, I can't hear
You're
Jake.
muted.
This all reminded me of this one. I don't know if you follow Defiant.ls, but he finds contradictions in people's tweets and posts.
Oh,
and this guy says presidents don't control gas prices, but you know who does? The Republican smooch and fossil fuel industry. And then later on, he tweeted out a sign of a low gas price and said, "Thank you, President Biden."
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times this guy has found this exact thing from completely different people
I wonder if he's the same person that found. I was just thinking of this recently, a contradiction where someone posted the two side by side, and it was like some like conservative, whatever person. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were like,
this guy, because this account is fantastic. If you want to go follow it, it has something great every single day.
Defiant.is.
Is it Defiant.is?
L's.
It's Defiant L's.
L's.
Yeah.
Defiant.ls. Oh, it's a lowercase L, not a capital I. Our text is so stupid.
L's.
And then so the person was like highlighting a tweet from, you know, a month ago, and it was like, no one should be made to do anything they don't want to do. That's not freedom. That's not America, whatever. Right. And then like a month later, they were like, everyone should be made to say the Pledge of Allegiance in class. This is America. And you're like, you can't, what? Like a month ago, you said you can't make someone do something they don't want to do. And now you're like,
it was probably him.
You have to do this. It very much might be, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's enough bashing Biden. We can literally do that every single week. So we'll come back.
We could do that for a week straight.
Next week. This is probably older. Actually, this is older. It went viral in 2021, but I thought it was just so funny that I had to bring it up again. So here we go. This is a conversation between an Irish farmer and an Irish policeman.
It's your proof that you don't have the virus.
Where's my proof?
Yes.
That I don't have it?
Yes.
Where's your proof that you don't have it?
I don't have to prove to you. You're the one that stopped me. If you want to go along with this scam-demic,
You have driven into a guarded checkpoint.
You have no right to be setting up checkpoints.
Where are you going, sir?
None of your business now.
Well, actually, you're required.
I'm not required under our Constitution to do anything you say.
Where are you traveling to today, sir?
I am going to the hardware store to get supplies for my farm.
Okay.
And where are you traveling from?
My farm. None of your business. No, it's fucking not. We did not fight 800 years for you to start treating us worse than the British fucking army did. Did we?
I fucking love this guy.
Show me the pandemic. The fucking news. Are you having a laugh? RTE. What fucking news?
There's other news. You don't watch the BBC news.
Shite. The BBC? Really? So the Crown News?
Oh, yeah.
You want me to watch the Crown News?
No. You're saying RTE is shite.
Of course it's shite. Where's your proof?
I love this man.
I know that guy is a
God.
hero. I wish we knew more about him so we could praise his name, because that dude is awesome.
That guy is my hero of the day. I fucking love that guy.
Yes.
I don't know him, and I love him.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely hilarious.
I'm going to drink to him.
Oh,
because
cheers to that.
Yeah.
Clink. Yeah. Again, y'all, we're in just the funny section, so we don't have to analyze these things at all. Zane, I know you're itching too, but you can just
I'm not going to analyze it. I'm just going to toast it. Yeah.
All right. Well, here's Pierre Polivier. That's how you pronounce it, right?
I have no idea.
I can't. That's not Polivier. It's
Pierre Bagatois.
Polivier.
It's definitely not it. Just talking to a reporter.
I think it was responsible for you to call yesterday's explosion by the by the checkpoint at the Rainbow Bridge terrorism when no US or Canadian officials said that was or authorities said that was the case, and when the New York governor also said there was no evidence to suggest terrorism activity?
Actually, you're wrong. You're a CP? Okay, so CP, by the way, CP, just for everyone's knowledge, did have to make 3 corrections for falsehoods that they put into a single article. I think that might be unprecedented. I'm actually thinking about checking with the Guinness Book of World Records to see if there's ever been a news agency that has had to issue 3 corrections for patent falsehoods that they admit they had been made in one single article, and now you've made yet another falsehood in your question. Where you are wrong is that CTV reported that the government of Canada was presuming that the incident was terrorist. So, yeah, that's what I said in my remarks. You're right. It was a media report.
Citing media reports and not.
Which is what I said in the House. I said there are media reports.
You think that's a responsible thing to go on to express that kind of statement at the time?
What kind of statement? I didn't. I said there were media reports. No, there's no distinction. What I said, and I was right, was that there were media reports.
Do you think it was?
I love that.
That's amazing.
Even as he's explaining it to her, she cannot come to grips with it.
Yeah.
Like that.
She's gone too far at this point.
It's sad, right? And it's also kind of humorous at the same time.
Watching journalism and journalists on a train going in a direction, and it's like an ego-driven kind of a thing, and not able to course correct. It really highlights how I actually used to look up to like the concept of the journalist and journalism in a professional way of like really trying to remove yourself and your own bias from your reporting as best you can. And I'm not saying it was perfect, but I think that was the goal, and it's no longer the goal. Like I just ubiquitously, like in mainstream media, it is just like now the goal is actually to support a certain bias. Like it's insane. We've gone 100% the other way.
And they're not journalists, they're propagandists.
You're deluding yourself about the noble history of journalism. Like, you can go all the way back to the 1930s in the New York Times. People were writing glowing reviews of Stalin and communism and how great it was.
Like I said, it's not perfect, but I think that the tonality is that we're not even trying to look like we're being unbiased anymore. True. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something different about it. But like I said, it's never been perfect. I'm not ever gonna like suck the media dick. Like, it's not gonna happen. And when this was playing out before we even got to the media thing, when she was accusing him of like saying that it was terrorism or whatever, I was getting like flashbacks to like 9/11 reporting at the time, and it was the media that first said and put the words in the public's ears that it might be a terrorist attack. It was like their sort of like presumption that that was what was going on. And was shifting the mindset of the people before we're talking 30 minutes in to the event, and like that's what was said. And so this is not surprising that he was citing a media report at the time, and that early on that they were saying that or whatever, because this is the trend that we have. Because I honestly, that's the job of the media at this fucking point. Like, that is to just put in people's minds like what they want you to think that something is at this fucking point. So I'm not surprised that that's where that was going.
Well,
I know you said not to analyze
it. The moral of the story is that instead of listening to media reports, this guy should watch our show.
There we go. I like it. All right. Here's another.
The fucking news. The fucking Crown News.
Yeah, we're not the Crown News.
All right, here we go. This is a farmer running a tractor with a hay baler behind him.
More farmers. Oh no. What is he doing?
What am I watching here?
Just watch.
What is happening? That is a first for me. Oh my god. That is the funniest fucking thing. He looks like a Minecraft character.
I thought that was so stinking funny.
But why do you have to take your clothes off to do that?
I think it made it funnier.
That's fair.
Like it made it way funnier that he got naked to go bail himself.
No, that part's fair.
Yeah. It's content.
It's content. This is also hilarious. Here we go.
It's extra surreal for French speakers right now because in French, phonetically, ChatGPT sounds exactly like cat I farted. Chat GPT. Here on TV in the news, people going cat I farted over and over with a straight. Is cat I farted going to steal your job? How are schools dealing with cat I farted? Lawyer caught using cat I farted. It's incredible.
I love this now.
Oh
my
man.
god.
So good. All right. Final one. It's a little late. It's a Halloween one, but hilarious. Here we go.
Hi.
Just from across there. My son is crying his eyes out. You gave him this bag of sweets, yes?
Well,
And
Halloween.
You gave him expensive Ferrero Rochers. He was so excited. That little boy was so excited. And then he opened them. And this, you gave him a Brussels sprout.
Yeah.
Not one. No, not one. No, not just one. You gave him another Brussels sprout. What is wrong with you? You're laughing. My son is in there crying his eyes out.
Trick-or-treat. You got
No,
tricked.
trick or treat. How can you do that to a 5-year-old? I mean, seriously?
Halloween is trick or treat.
How is a 5-year-old supposed to understand?
That's a fair point.
What sort of a
Great
person
point.
are you? Really? You trick a 5-year-old?
Halloween is trick or treat. You got tricked. You got tricked.
He got tricked. Really? You really think that now he's 5? He's Brussels sprouts. What were you thinking?
God.
A Brussels.
I don't know his age.
He's 5.
Well, I thought it was funny.
You know what? There's something very wrong with you if you are amused by this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, so good. So good.
That's a good one.
Well, y'all, thank y'all, everybody, for watching the show, listening to the show. We really appreciate it. We love coming on here and doing this. It was actually kind of sad missing last week. I probably could have done it too. Half my family was asleep by like 6 p.m. So
I was pretty deep into the Two Towers.
Nice.
Not the Twin Towers, the Two Towers.
Two Towers.
Twin Towers is next week.
Twin Towers is a couple weeks from now.
Oh, is that right?
And that's not going to be live. It will be a whole production. So, yeah, but thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We're going to keep having shows throughout December. I will not be hosting any of them. So y'all will have to pick up the slack. Zach, Zane, Steve, Alden. Y'all
Who's
enjoy.
hosting?
I guess we'll figure that. I guess y'all will figure that out.
We're libertarians. We're leaderless. We don't know.
I will happily come in to be a guest on an episode and not host.
You can play trivia.
Play trivia. Yeah. So y'all just let me know when that is. If you have any questions about the Libertarian Party, before that, good night, Grumpy. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. If you have any questions about the Libertarian Party of Georgia, what we do, what we believe in, you can go to lpgeorgia.com. If you're not in the state of Georgia, go to lp.org. Our convention to elect a presidential candidate is coming up next year. So if you need to get your convention package or whatever it is now, go do that before the prices go up. Anything else we need to talk about, Zach, before we head out?
I don't think so.
Sweet. All right. Zane, Alden, Zach, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank y'all so much. That'll do it for tonight, y'all. We'll see you next week. Peace.